guys, welcome back. I'm Danielle and this is Bookchara, and today I'm bringing you my top 5 books of 2020. So there were some requirements, some characteristics of these top 5 books, and I am going to list those characteristics for you right now. Whether I lent out my copy, gifted a copy, or simply said, you need to read this book, I went out of my way to recommend these books. All of the books in my top 5 are worthy of a reread, which is a rarity for me. There was no deliberating. These books were an easy 5 stars. I either didn't want the story to end, was so completely immersed that I forgot that I was reading, or couldn't put it down. Lastly, I consider each one of these books a treasure, on which I have bestowed the great honor of a permanent place on my bookshelves. Next, I'll be providing you with crucial information about each book in a condensed format because I am a get-to-the-point kind of girl. That information includes the month I read the book, a short summary of the book, a snippet from my review or what would have been my review, and a lasting impression of the book. Also, I don't know if I previously mentioned this, but I will be listing these books in the order I read them rather than in an actual 1 through 5 ranking, mostly just because I couldn't decide. So first we've got Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I read this book in February. Here's my short summary. In denial of her past, Eleanor lives a lonely, predictable life until she meets an IT guy named Raymond, who takes the time to see past the fine face that she puts on for the world. A snippet from my review. Eleanor Oliphant is completely nuts, and I adore her for it. Her deadpan, oftentimes disturbing sense of humor left me belly laughing more often than not. My lasting impression, I remember sitting at the lunch table at work laughing out loud because of this book. The next book is Shielded by Kay Lynn Flanders. If you are part of my BookTube fam community, I have just given away my answer for our love-hate challenge, and so I am going to have to come up with a new love-hate combo. I read this book in March, and here is a short summary. This is a thrilling new fantasy about a kingdom ravaged by war and the princess who might just be the key to saving it. From my review, I'm calling it right now. This series is going to catch like fire. You're all going to be talking about it. My lasting impression, I could not wait for the second book in this series to come out. And in fact, I have been patiently waiting. Untethered's expected publication date is July 20th, 2021. Next we have Where the Stars Meet the Sea by Heidi Kimball. I read this book in June, and here's my short summary. This is an unput-downable love story between a fiery sailor's daughter and the brooding Duke of Halstead. From my review, is it too early to declare my favorite book of 2020? And this was like Jane Eyre, only better. My lasting impression, this is the one where I met my book boyfriend Halstead. Next we have Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. I read this in November as part of my Believe-a-thon stack. A short summary. A cursed child named Morrigan Crow is whisked away to the magical land of Nevermore, where she competes for a place in the prestigious Wondrous Society. I did not actually write a review for Nevermore, but if I had, I would have told you that Nevermore was a complete indulgence for me. As I read and as I physically held the book, I had this awareness that I was in possession of something really special. My lasting impression, I am currently reading the next book in this series, which is called Wondersmith. I cannot get enough. And last but not least, we've got Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. I read this in November, again as part of Believe-a-thon. This is a coming-of-age story written in verse about a girl named Jude who comes to live with her family in the United States after escaping volatile conditions in her home country of Syria. Again, this is one I don't have an official review for, but I can tell you the writing is beautiful, moving, and lyrical. I had a bajillion sticky note tabs that I needed to remove before I took this book back to the library. I loved Other Words for Home so much that I bought a copy of it for my almost 13-year-old daughter for Christmas. She considers herself a non-reader, but felt like the verse format was more her speed. So those are my top 5, and now it's time for my honorable mentions. I cannot talk about my top books of 2020 without mentioning these 2 series. Firstly, we have the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. These were books that I buddy read with some of my Instagram friends. And also, I don't want to neglect to mention the Selection series, which was a big part of my reading journey in 2020. These books are binge worthy. So I've got some questions for you before you go. Firstly, have you read any of these books? What are some qualifying characteristics of your top books of the year? What were your top ranked books of 2020? And finally, did you make a top books of the year video? If so, let us know. I would love to check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Before you go, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back next week with more bookish content. Bye!